His name is Jay Call, and he's also known as the manufacturing Millennial. He has been around a long time, so if anybody wants to get out there and look at what he does, and he's huge in the industry that what we do, but he also has probably had upwards of 100 million views. He's the guy running around with his dog over here. So, Mr. J. Call. Yep. And thanks for being here.
I'm really excited to be here to talk with everyone today. Who's part of the robotics program here? The first robotics program. Okay, in the back. Awesome. So I did first robotics from 2005 to 2008. I was part of team 288. Now you're probably like what numbers, like 6,000, 7,000? What's your team number? Is that 5 digits? Well, okay. So you're growing up a lot more than that. So I was one of the really early teams to the robotics area. But for me, I'm just super passionate about where the future of manufacturing is going to go. And for me, I kind of wanted to share a little bit of my story of how I got into manufacturing and what I do now, but more importantly, why I think it's so incredible, why it's so important for every person in this room to be in manufacturing. Like, the first thing we always hear of, when your generation hears of manufacturing, what are a few words that come to mind? Dark, did I hear dark? Boring, dirty, anything else? No, dull, dangerous. It's all those jobs that went overseas years ago, and it's not the cool place to work, right? Everyone wants to go and work in California and do all the latest tech stuff and program everything, right? And there's this misconception about what manufacturing is these days, and my whole goal for talking with you all today is give you a better idea of what manufacturing has to offer. A little bit about me. So I'm a millennial. To me, I have 2 daughters. Kaylee, she's over there, she's 6. Cassie, she's 3. And then I have a mother-in-law and a sister-in-law that live with me. So I have 5 women who live with me, and that's why the gray beard is here at 34 years old. But for me, I started off in manufacturing. We're doing first robotics. I started doing first robotics. I coached Leg League. In fact, I'm flying back to Michigan tomorrow, and then I'm going to be coaching Thursday, Friday, Saturday at some judges events. Have you guys competed yet at all? How'd you guys do? You had a good time. There we go. Okay, that's what matters. You had a good time. But for me, my whole goal is when I'm talking, how do I get my girls, Kaylee and Cassie, excited about manufacturing? Because here's the thing, manufacturing right now is 79% male in manufacturing, right? And that's when we look at our industry, how do we get more women excited about what we're doing? How do we get women to like robots, right? And we all think robots are cool. I have a robot dog over here that everyone can drive later on. But it's one of those things that's like technology is for everyone. And who likes to play video games? Anyone? Video games? Computer, PC, what do you guys like to play? PlayStation, okay. Anyone play either computer or have an NVIDIA graphics card or something like that? Did you know NVIDIA graphics cards also run robots? Maybe, maybe not. So there's a big conference, Jansen Hansen, he's the CEO of NVIDIA, pretty much the most powerful company in the world now. They just released yesterday where they're now running humanoid robots in manufacturing using the same computer set chips that run on your 4090 in your computer. So it just goes to show that video games have a direct correlation to the future of robotics in our industry. And so when we think of manufacturing as a whole, here's some cool numbers. We always hear that manufacturing is like this industry that our parents used to work at, our grandparents used to work at, but we don't realize how impactful manufacturing is to you today. So in the total world of things, 14.5% of the total world population works in manufacturing, which is like a $16.7 trillion industry. In just the United States, it's a $2.5 trillion industry. Now, to get those numbers right, when we think of $1 trillion, we think, oh gosh, that's just the US debt right now. But when we think of 2.5 trillion, it's actually a really big number. If you're going to take 2.5 trillion, which is the manufacturing output in the United States, make it its own country, it will be the 7th largest country in the world. It's just US manufacturing. Which I think goes to show important how critical US manufacturing is, and that's why it's needed so much. And this is kind of a highlight of what I do. So I'm on all the social media platforms. I'm primarily on LinkedIn, but I'm also on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And it's really cool just to show technology of like, hey, here's this high-speed conveyor. Do you ever go and buy the cinnamon rolls that you can, break open in a cylinder and then put them in the oven, and then you just happen to put all of the icing on one single cinnamon roll, and then there's nothing left?
How do you know
Or is
we do
that, or is that just me? Okay, that might just be, right? But when you look at, we have high-speed conveyors that allow, dough separation, or here's a great example of friction welding, when you take just two metal pieces, you put it together, and I found out really quickly that people on TikTok love this stuff. So I have videos on TikTok that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million views, just because it's really cool to see how things are made. Now, back when I grew up, there was a TV show called How Things Are Made. I don't think they play that anymore on TV, but you can find them on YouTube and stuff like that. I think okay. Wait, it's still on TV?
Yeah, I don't know if they're new episodes, but it's still running.
Yeah, okay.
I watched it last night. I don't know if it's new or not.
Well, there you go. But like for me, I view social media as the new way to watch content, right? Everyone who has a TikTok account, don't be afraid. Who has a Snapchat account?
There's a test later.
There's no tests later. No. But like for us, that's how we communicate. That's how we learn. So that's why I found it so important for us to say, I'm not going to try and convince you to say, here's why we're cool. I'm going to have to go to you to show you why we're cool. And I think when we show videos like this of how things are made, it's really important. But really what I think is important is to communicate and not make the same mistakes that I did. So when I was a junior in high school, I met with my guidance counselor. They said, hey, Jake, you like math, you like science, go get an engineering degree. And so I got an engineering degree along with $57,000 in student debt when I graduated. And the big thing I want to highlight is, while four-year degrees are important, and they're great, and they're good for the right people, they're not right for everyone. And this is just a great example, right? So if you go and you graduate with a four-year degree, on average you're graduating somewhere between $35,000 to $52,000 in student debt. If you go and get a college degree, you are paying for a lot less, and sometimes you're graduating between like $5,000 to $12,000 in student debt. Versus an apprentice program, which you can go and you can work with a local employer, and you get your college paid for. So I think the big thing here is to highlight is what every adult standing back here in the room was told, that you had to get a four-year degree to be successful. That's the biggest lie you could have been told, right? A four-year degree does not make you successful. It's your work ethic and the skills that you want to continue to learn after you graduate is what's going to move you forward. So go out there and don't just look at a four-year degree, look at a two-year degree, look at an associate's degree, look at a skilled trade opportunity that's going to be out there, because each one of those is going to find and match your passion for what you can be successful at down the road. And if you have questions on that later, I love to talk to you more about that, because paying off debt sucks. And if you can not have to worry about that when you graduate high school and when you graduate college, it's going to benefit you a lot longer down the road. So, we're here for education meets training, and my whole goal is to have you get a better understanding of why all these adults in the back room are super passionate about reaching you to get your career jump-started in the future. And so the great thing about manufacturing that I want to highlight is, while we have all these cool robots in the room, and I don't want to take away from the robots there's so many other opportunities in manufacturing that have nothing to do with robots. So if you like working with people, you like talking to people, you can be in sales. If you have this creative mind of being able to draw and design things, right? You can work in marketing. And so the great thing about manufacturing is it's not just engineering, it's not just building. It's being creative, it's communicating, it's imagining new ideas, it's motivating people, it's being a leader. And the great thing about manufacturing as well, some people here are really good at problem solving. Some people might be really good at just creating new ideas and learning how to shoot drones at 20,000 Gs out of a big cannon. I mean, and that's some stuff that PSA is doing. So it's one of those things where everyone has a place in manufacturing, so don't feel like society is telling you to be a certain thing when you can be yourself and find the right job and opportunity for you down the road. And so what's really cool, and I'm really moving through this presentation because I really want you to have an interaction to drive the robots, to go and explore the other rooms, is within manufacturing. Anyone heard of the Industrial Revolutions in history class, right? Anyone remember what the first Industrial Revolution was? You can look up here if you want to cheat as well. It's steam power, right? So the idea was, we learned in history that U.S. manufacturing really took off when we were able to harness steam and turn a turbine and create more energy that's more efficient. Well, we're at the fourth industrial revolution right now, which is this idea of smart factories and digital solutions and connecting data and cybersecurity that all is all encompassing. Where also we don't have these siloed processes within manufacturing. All this technology is coming together. So we saw a few videos earlier from IST. I have a few more that I want to add. So this is just cool technology. So this is called projected augmented reality. Everyone ever play with like an Oculus, a headset, or the Apple Vision Pro? Maybe I love that. So this is a technology where we're projecting light down onto a work surface, and instead of you having to go and open up paper-based work instructions, right? Instead of you having to follow step by step and like opening up a 3D binder, look at that bullet point, now do this assembly, now look at that bullet point, do this assembly. Now all of a sudden we're having light just guiding an operator on what to touch and what to feel. And so this is technology that's in manufacturing where now this is how you're being trained to work. Where all of a sudden it's not this really boring paper-based stuff, right? When your mom or dad wanted to learn how to cook, they opened up a Betty Crocker cookbook. Now you open up YouTube or TikTok to learn how to fix something. Video and interacting is so important. Here's another one example, right? You want to learn how to repair a motor or a machine, you put on a headset and you're going to have these floating objects in front of you that are going to teach you how to fix a part. Instead of you having to worry about finding the right piece of paper that's going to walk you through those steps. Now we have all this technology that's going to guide you through. And honestly, it feels like a video game in a lot of cases. And I think that's what's so cool. And for me, as a guy who still loves to play video games with all my friends all the time, I find that really fun and interactive. Here's another cool one. This is an exoskeleton. So this is a device that you can wear on your arms and your legs. And basically what it does is it gives you super strength. So instead of you doing a bunch of physical labor in an area, these arms now will hold up, the devices on your arms will now hold up where basically now you have an extra 15, 20, 25 pounds of strength where you're not getting so physically exhausted working all the time, right? Technology is making it easier for you to do your job so it's not that physical labor that's going to exhaust you every single day. Here's a fun project that we did. This was for a project with Plus One Robotics. Actually, if you guys recognize that in the back from PSA, who's also working with this company. This was a project that was done down in Memphis, Tennessee, where if you've ever shipped product or poly bags via FedEx before, you have to singulate and separate each individual bag so it can be read through a barcode. Before, you had human operators that had to do this all the time, where they started at 2 a.m., so you'd have to get out of bed at 1 a.m., drive to work, and then start doing this at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's when all the planes arrived into Memphis. And they found out that no one actually wanted to get out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. So they had robots decide to do that instead. So now what they have is they have a crew chief that works on a tablet. So if the robot doesn't know what to pick, it will send a notification to a person on a tablet, and then they would select what part to pick next or what bag to pick next. So what the whole thing is you're not going to be those people who are doing those boring tasks in manufacturing anymore. You're the ones that are going to be programming robots and working with robots and working with all this technology that's going to make it a lot more exciting. Anyone recognize these before? Spot, right? Boston Dynamics. I have a lot of really good friends at BD, and so here's another great example, right? You've probably seen Spot and the Katy Perry dancing Super Bowl video or other stuff where they're dancing to K-pop. Did I get that right? Is it K-pop music? Okay, but it's one of those things where now all of a sudden, instead of a person having to walk around in a factory at 95-degree weather to walk up to a machine to understand what is the temperature, what is the pressure, is it working properly, I can now have a robot go and do that inspection instead. And I think that's what's so cool about this is now all of a sudden you can control this robot with like a video game controller sitting in an air-conditioned room, where instead of you having to drive around, instead of you having to walk around 5-6 miles a day, you can now control a robot to do that instead. And that's what I want you to get excited about, is manufacturing of what you thought was this dark, dirty, dull, dangerous, dumb industry. Now is an industry full of opportunity with, high-end graphics and robots and video games and projected AR and technology that's really exciting. That's, not just pulling physical labor out of you, but really, trying to make you be the most creative, individual that's out there within the industry. Here's just another fun one. So this is a system called Mimic, and it works with a lot of different robots that are out there. So instead of a traditional robot that you would program through a teach pendant or through grabbing through an arm and doing that, it's a joystick. And so basically that robot will go out there and you can take that joystick and you can say, I want to paint this, I want to sand this, I want to polish this. And then the robot will just learn by learning the movements of the joystick that you have, and it will duplicate those exact movements for you. So now all of a sudden your robot technician doesn't even have to do that programming anymore when you have solutions like this that can do some of these basic tests. Now obviously, if you're doing a very complex assembly, you can't do it through this manner, but if you're a small machine builder or manufacturer that's doing some basic sanding or finishing, what a great tool on how robots can make lives easier. Here's another final one. Anyone have cookie crumble cookies before? Yes. Well, now you learn that these robots are palletized in place through, the cookies are palletized in place through a robot. So it's one of those things, it's like robots aren't even in just manufacturing and in dirty environments. They're actually palletizing your cookies. You know, and I think it's just the one cool thing is automation can touch so many different types of industries, where instead of a person who had to literally take dough and put it on a sheet tray 8 hours a day, now all of a sudden I can have a robot do those tasks. Which is honestly, would you like to program a robot that makes cookies?
Yes.
I know I would.
Yes.
You know, it's one of those things, okay, I'm gonna program this, try it, make sure to do a quality test, you know, and constantly doing that picking. It's one of those things that robots have a lot of fun opportunities now for that. You know, we'll talk more about this later during the presentation. If you scan that barcode, I'm pretty sure that barcode will bring me to my TikTok page and all that other stuff if you want to follow me on social media and stuff like that, but I want to get us kind of back on schedule. So with that said, any questions I can answer, or better yet, you know, if you want to, I'll have the robot dog over here that you can drive and then ask me questions that we have going on. So with that, I'll hand it back to right here. Awesome.
Good stuff. Thanks.